Welcome to Life at the Deep End. We are your hosts, Jordan Bone
and Samantha Bromfield. After facing challenges of our own, we wanted our voices to be heard, to authentically share not only our stories and experiences, but life lessons we are learning along the way.
To show you that despite any struggle you may face, life can be fulfilling and amazing, because ultimately, you are the creator of your reality.
You may often feel alone, but we are here to confirm that you are not.
So let's dive into the deep end.
Hi guys, I hope you're all well and welcome back to the podcast. So, like we said, we are having guests on the show this series, and we're lucky enough to have our first guest, which is Dale.
Yeah, so Dale is joining us today, and our conversation is going to be heavily around side hustle, I guess is the way that he would phrase it. And we talk a lot about why that's important to him and just kind of a conversation around how he fits that into his life and how that's changed his life for the better. And yeah, I guess it's just a really open conversation between the three of us about finding that passion in your life and how to chase it. So I hope you all enjoy, and without further ado, we will jump straight into it. So Dale, welcome to Life at the Deep End.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me on.
That's quite all right. And I thought it was quite fitting that we did say that as well, as you're our first guest, that you are actually the creator of our intro as well. So that seems like full circle, the perfect way to give you a little bit of credit and have you on the show.
Thanks very much. A little pat
on the back. Anyone that enjoys our intro, the music is created by yours truly. No, that'd be me, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll take a little bow.
But anyway, I thought a good place to start before we jump into the conversation is for you to give us a little bit of a brief overview of all the different plates that you've got spinning, so that at least when we are talking about certain things, people have a bit of an idea of what you do and what your interests are and what side things and stuff you've got going on.
Yeah, okay. So I guess some people would call it entrepreneurship or something like that, whereas I don't really look at myself in that way. I like to call it the side hustle, as you know, Bron. It's the coolest name that I've come across so far for it. So that's what I look at, and I find it really, really important in day-to-day life. I guess there's sort of two main aspects of what I do outside of my sort of full-time job. One of those is music. I love house music production, running record labels, running parties, hosting events, that sort of thing. And the flip side to that is sport. I love sport. Taekwondo is my main sport. I've been doing it for 26, 27 years. It's sort of a family thing, really. My dad is the head coach, so I've sort of done it, although I started physically when I was 6. Doing it a lot longer before that, and I guess that's really where my side hustle has started in life. But yeah, so they're the two main things, and I guess from a spin-off from the music, led into fashion, networking, all that sort of thing. Not necessarily separate aspects of what I do, but I try to do as much as a collective as I can. But I guess I'll talk a little bit more about that in a little while, how they link in and stuff like that.
Because I suppose for people listening, me and Dale work for the same company, and you're, like you said, the side hustle, the stuff that you've got going on. How long do you think, what age were you roughly when it's like you said, you were young, 6, when the sport and that, but that's for your dad and the business inside of that. But when would you say that it really peaked with you were oh, I really enjoy this, I'm going to actively pursue doing it as a separate thing?
Yeah, that's a really hard question, actually, because I don't know if I ever really consciously noticed when I was taking advantage of having the side hustle. I think it's something that's just happened over time. It definitely started through Taekwondo. That was my project. I really, really enjoyed it. And although Dad was the coach, that didn't really impact my career in Taekwondo too much. But I guess I can't really claim that as an independent sort of thing that I do. It is sort of follow on from a family thing. So I guess the first thing that really took me by storm would have been the house music, and that predominantly started with DJing. Prior to that, heading out with friends on holidays and enjoying house music, and that led to that. I guess I was probably sort of 16, 17 when I first started DJing, and that's really where the doors opened. So I guess as a young adult, really was when I noticed that interests were leading to different areas, and they were growing, and I was sort of experiencing that self-development, which felt really, really great. So yeah, I guess it was about 16, 17 when it all kicked off for me.
So Jordan, you do a lot of like the work that you promote is around people finding their passion in life, I suppose, isn't it? You know, like things that pique their interest. And I guess this is where you fit in as a good guest, Dale, because not everyone is an opportunity where they can like take that leap and it be their full-time job, or for whatever reason, maybe they just want to keep it as a separate thing. And that's sort of a lot of what you promote, isn't it, Jordan, of finding.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time as we get older, we forget that we still have that inner child within us, and that we need to have hobbies or side hustles or just something that lights us up more than just our day to day. And it gives us that inspiration to just to do things that are a bit fun, as well as just, the day to day of like, oh, I must do this, I must do that. It's like, got to actually be that inner child, because we are that child still. So I know, like you said about the taekwondo when you were younger, and then you kept doing that, and that's what gave you the inspiration to do other things as a side hustle too. So that's a really great example of that, and I think that's amazing that you do that. That you do so much. Like, how do you do all of that?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. I think it's not something that's been easy, trying to balance all of these things over the years. And sometimes I've taken too much on. I think everyone does at stages. When you get things that you really, really enjoy, you want it to fill up your time. It's when you see things progress and you really get that self-satisfaction out of something that you've started completely on your own. Well, not necessarily on your own, but independently, maybe with friends or whatever. Yeah, something that you've developed. I really think that does give you drive, not just in that area, that particular side hustle, but it gives you drive in lots of other things as well. With work, with family, it just feels more positive. And I know, Jordan, you're about the positive vibe, and that's something that I really do feel off the back of success. And I think success is really, really different for everybody. I don't think success is something that we all see in the same way. I think you guys probably agree. Some people see success through taking the side hustle up to being their career. Some people see, some people don't develop it into a career. And in my world, the first time I recorded my first mix, for example, I was over the moon. It's like, I can do this. I've recorded a mix. It's job done. And I think that's the basis, isn't it? That's where you start, and then from there you build it up, build it on. And as you see that success, you want to fill your time more. But I think you've got to be very, very careful. And I think over the years, you sort of learn time management, if not from work, from all these other things as well. So you sort of learn which pockets of time you can use for what element of your life, and takes a bit of practice for sure. But a hot topic at the moment is lockdown, isn't it?
Especially we're recording this episode will pretty much go up within a couple of days of recording it, so it is a real hot topic at the moment.
It's so fresh. And a lot of people probably put a negative spin on lockdown and thinking, I'm going to be stuck at home, or there's all these restrictions in place, what can we do, what can't we do? But on the flip side, that's where a side hustle or another option is really, really useful for you, because you can fill that time, fill that void. And it's not just positive because you're spending time on that subject. It's positive because it keeps your mind active, it keeps your mind occupied. Mental health side of things as well, it can be really, really positive. I just think
that's the thing as well, though, I think with lockdown, that a lot of people, especially at the beginning of the year when we had the first national lockdown, there was this emphasis on like, don't waste your time with lockdown, but it was okay to just exist, just to get through it. But I think from what you're saying, that it's not about being like, right, I've got to be productive in this time, I've got to do this. It's about finding something that you actually want to do, that you enjoy, that brings out like the positive side. Like, so it's not you're not punishing yourself that you're not doing enough during this time. You're taking something that you enjoy, because obviously money is great like for all the side things that you've got going on, like you do earn an income from it, but I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, like it's a bit more than that for you as well. Like you said, that there's an importance in what you do to yourself, not just the money that it brings in.
Yeah, massively. It's never ever been about the money for me, and it never has been, never will be, really. I'm in a quite lucky position, really, where my main income is from my job, and that takes away a lot of the stress, which is one of the great things about the side hustle, is that it's on the side. It's not your main thing, and you might be able to develop it into a career, which is great. You're going to do something that you really, really, really love. But what that means, in my scenario, it means I don't have to worry about that financial aspect. I don't have to focus on the grind and think of, I've got to commit to this, I've got to make it work. I've got to get, I've got to pay my bills. In my business, that's not the case. With lockdown, I've still been working, and I'll still continue to work from home. Actually, my office is right here as I speak. But that, the money's still coming in each month to pay my bills, and that just means that the spare time that I do have, I can really focus on the stuff that I love, because I haven't got that the issues behind it. Yeah, I haven't got that pressure from it, so I can really, really enjoy myself. And that's something that I would recommend to anybody, really. If at this stage, if you are at home and it's a hard time for you, why not look outside of that and think, what can I do? What do I really want to do? What's something that I've thought I really, really love to enjoy doing that, but never done it? Well, now you've got more time than ever, so why not use that as a positive spin?
Absolutely agree with that completely. It's just, that's the perfect time to do it. Perfect timing. So we can always put something positive on a seemingly negative situation. So that's so key.
And like you said, sometimes it can then transpire in that you end up then doing something full-time as your career. And I think that's quite relevant to you, Jordan. Like the stuff, the bits that you offer in your career probably was more of, it started off as a hobby. And I should think it is still a massive hobby for you, because it's something, like Dale said, that you've grown into a business that you actually enjoy.
Yeah, I think as well, though, you should really love what you do. And when you get to the point where you can actually make that your career, then absolutely great. But yeah, for years, like literally years, I was just doing, my makeup videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
And within those makeup videos, though, I would always be like sending a motivational message. And I really enjoyed doing that. And it wasn't like that wasn't my thing, though, but I was still doing it. It was kind of combined. But then being able to then help people one-on-one, now it's like it's all developed from that. So even if you find something that you enjoy, like a new hobby, you can actually, that you might adapt it and you may bring it into your career at some point, even if it's not exactly the same as what you're doing as that hobby or side hustle. So yeah, I think it's just key to do what you love, because then you'll keep going with it. You have such a passion for it, and you won't ever wake up and think, oh, I don't want to do this. You always want to, with something like this, you want to be always excited and have that burning desire to actually keep creating with it.
Yeah, that's it.
More.
And I think not knowing as well exactly what you want to do or what your passion is quite common as well. Because Jordan, I know I've heard you say a lot, like, you don't have to have all the answers. Like, you don't have to think, oh, I'm listening to this and I have no idea what my passion is. Like, that's the whole point. Like, go out and try different things.
Exactly.
I feel like I wouldn't say I have a side hustle in terms of like an active thing, but I think I'm quite jump in on like different creative stuff that I like to do, and I get a bit carried away. Like, I don't know if that's because I'm a bit impatient. I like pick up a hobby and I want to do like everything now with that hobby. Like, I was saying to, I think I probably said it on our previous podcast back to Jordan, that I was like, oh, I really want to do resin work. Like, do you know what I mean? Like resin artwork. Yeah, and then I looked into it, and it's masks and all sorts and stuff. A lot. So my like latest hobby, compared to you two, I honestly sound like an 80-year-old lady. But my latest hobby is scrapbooking, and I really enjoy it. So it's just something like to pass the time. I've got the supplies, and I know it's like completely different to what you're talking about with like running with something, but it is kind of the same in that I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and it's something that you look forward to. And just having like, especially like you said, when you have a job that isn't, not that you don't like, but isn't like your main passion in life, it is nice to have something else to.
I think what we have to remember is, just off the back of what you're saying there, is that everybody's journey is different. No one's on the same path. You might speak to somebody else that has got another subject that they're working on, and that may interest you. And then just going back to something that you said a minute ago, Jordan, is being able to adapt. I think adaptation is a massive thing, because, like you're saying, nobody has the answers to what you want to do. A lot of it is a journey, isn't it? You have to start somewhere. And for me, when I started the DJing, when I started the record label or the clothing brand, I had no answers or no idea about what I was doing at that stage. It was, I was young and I was driven and I was hungry for it, and I loved music so much and I wanted to be out there. I thought, well, I've got to find my path. Not everybody that starts a side hustle has an instruction book on, this is step 1, step 2, step 3. It's about adapting, building yourself, building your confidence, your knowledge, your network, all of those sorts of things. And I think that's part of like the really enjoyable bit. And like I say, I think people just need to remember to not be afraid to dip their toe in the water with these things that they feel like they would really like and would really inspire them. I think sometimes dipping the toe in the water is the biggest part of the whole journey of a side hustle. I think that's really where it starts.
How are you going to ever know if you enjoy it? Because I'm sure in your journey along the way, as much as then you found something you're passionate about, you probably also found things in that you don't like. That's the whole point of, isn't it? You have to give everything a go.
Yeah.
Figure out what fits you.
Yeah, you have to try to even know what you like. How do you know what you like if you don't try anything?
Yeah, exactly. And you have to be prepared for those ups and downs. Not everything is like sunshine and meadows, as we all know. Even like say with things that you really, really love. Recently I moved house. I really, really love the house, but it doesn't necessarily mean that moving was fun or decorating was good. Do you know what I mean? It's just one of those things. It's
buying a lawnmower.
Yeah, buying the lawnmower.
All the adult things.
Yeah, that's what life is all about. Houseplants and lawnmowers. That's the main key focus at the moment. But just reflecting on that. At the moment, particularly for the music industry, now it's like it was definitely the worst time that I've ever known of, that I've ever seen. Not long ago, you guys may have heard they were trying to close Fabric in London, which is a massive club in our scene. In the UK, it's got such a heritage around it, and they were looking to close that. We moved forward, however, I'm not sure how long ago that was, but we moved forward to this point now, and they've put laws on curfews and music volume and all that sort of thing. So, we're not gigging at the moment. We're not playing any gigs. We're not hosting any parties. So now is a real dip for us in the music industry. We're starting to see some positive stuff. There are guys out there, some businesses out there now getting support from the government in regards to funding, so they can continue. But from a sort of perspective from where we are, it's really, really hard to keep other people motivated as well. I find that sometimes, because I work in a team, everything I do is sort of team environment to some degree. And it's just trying to keep that dream alive. And it's been a struggle, since March, since we've been locked down, trying to keep the team engaged, trying to keep them positive, because, from a record label perspective, we release music from artists, but that music isn't getting played really out on the big stages at the moment. So that's a lot of, that's what people take as feedback, as an artist. When your music gets played everywhere, obviously that's a success, and that's not happening. So going back to that adaptation piece, at this stage of the game for us, it's been, what do we focus on now? And I've turned my interest to the music production, because I'm a DJ producer. So I've been doing a lot of music production, been signing, releases for record labels, which has been great. And I've written more music this year than I probably have in the last 3 years. Yeah. So looking at the negative, turning into the positive. And I think that's a really key part of all of those things, is being able to look at it from an outside perspective, just taking a step back and thinking, right, not a great time now, but what can I do to make it better? What can I do to make it positive? And, when we come out of this, I'm not one for really talking about myself too much, so I sort of struggle with this a little bit, but when we come out of this, I'm going to have more music than I've ever had to send off to labels, more links, because the networking at the moment is great, because everyone's got a bit more time, everyone's a bit more, I hate to use the word lonely, but everyone's not as social as they previously were, particularly in the music industry. So we take advantage of that. So we just look forward to when this ends and we rebuild on what we had before, and all the other really great stuff that we've done in the meantime, we can use that to propel us forward as well. And I think that's just an example of what people can do. What can you do? So,
and it's quite a hard thing as well, like you said, if you are dealt a more negative hand, or if something like you hit a challenge, it is a hard thing to have that mindset of being able to look at it as, okay, what can I do for it to be better? So I think this is why chatting with people like you, even if everyone listening isn't budding music producers, or it might not be the same industry, but there's so much you can take away from it around whatever your interest is, or whatever your side hustle is, or whatever it might be, that no matter what, you're gonna face challenges along the road, like that is inevitable. and it's about not letting that knock you for six and like put you down, about keep going.
Yeah, of course. One statement I really like is keeping the dream alive. I say that a lot. It's all
you
about,
do actually. Yeah,
I always say it. It's
say
all
that
about keeping the dream alive, because if you let it go, you hit the hurdle and you let it go and you turn your back on it. There's probably going to be that's an interest of yours. It's something that you love. You turn your back on it. There's going to probably be a point where you want to refocus and look back at it. And for some people that will work. But when you're building something and you're really, really working on something, I think for something to be great, you have to work through the negative. I think that's part of something being great. I don't think something can really be great until it's had the struggle. I think there's something in that, and I think eventually that drives the love for whatever you're doing, the passion. So I just think it's all about focus.
Like you said, Jordan, like your journey with like the work that you're doing now wasn't like done overnight. Like you said, you used to do makeup videos. Like you've gone through certain things to find your path and what you really want.
Oh God, like a year ago, even maybe a bit longer than a year ago now, I felt so lost, and I was like, where am I going? What am I doing? So if anyone feels lost, just know that whatever you feel drawn to, try it. Because I kept being drawn to like life coaching. I was drawn to spirituality for years, but I kept turning my back on it, and I wasn't witnessing the signs. And as soon as I went back to it, I was like, oh, okay, this is actually what I'm supposed to be doing, because I enjoy it. I can actually help people, and it could be a career as well. So, and then when you go through, once you realize that, and then you go through those struggles when you're still building, just remember that there's no failure, there's only feedback. So then you will keep going and keep striving for more, and to just keep going until just keep going, because there's no end, because it's all about the journey. It's not about a destination. You'll get to one destination and want to get to another. So just enjoy the moment, and just, if it makes you feel good, if it lights you up, that's the state you want to be in, of feeling amazing. So just keep going forward no matter what comes up, because it'll be worth it. And if you just give up when things do get a bit difficult, well, you've wasted loads of time. So if it still excites you, just keep going. If it doesn't excite you anymore, that's different. But
of course. And it's interesting to see how many times a negative can turn into a positive. Something that happens positively off the back of some bad news, or something that didn't go right, and you think, I didn't get that right this time, and then rolling on from that, something really, really, really good happens, which it's amazing. And I think along the journey as well, you never really know who you influence. I think by living your side hustle, particularly with you, Jordan, the people that watch your videos, you probably touch loads of people that you don't even realise you're helping in some way. I'm an example. I mentioned this to Brom, I think it was earlier actually. I'm a bit of a social network sort of butterfly. I'm not the sort of guy that goes on a video and I'll watch the whole thing. I'll go on a video and I'll listen to it for 10 seconds and I'll pick something up. And it was actually one of your videos that I looked at the other day. And it was the one where you was talking about doing something for yourself that's good for yourself, really, really positive. And it was the one where you was going to bed early. And it's funny because prior to that, I've been toying with the idea for a long time of changing my sort of sleeping pattern, my life pattern as such, because historically, because of the DJing, I'm a bit of a night owl, really. I'm up late and I wake up later in the morning sort of thing. And that's been happening through lockdown. It's been happening right up until today. I've been in the studio quite late, and then I get a little bit later.
I just messaged you at 8:30 this morning, to which didn't get a reply till midday. So I am a night owl. So and I've always sort of thought that worked for me, really. But one thing that I did experience recently, because with music production, I've been using lockdown to focus a little bit more on my learning and development. So instead of just writing music all the time, I've joined some other sort of learning classes online, been doing a bit of research and just developing my skills. And one thing that I've noticed off the back of that is, whilst I'm in the studio late at night, I probably like zoning out a little bit, not quite focused. I don't know. My ears are getting tired really, really quickly. And I thought to myself, I've heard people in the past say, I get up in the morning and get into the studio because my ears are fresh, my brain is fresh, I'm creative, it works so much better. And I've always sort of been like, well, I don't think it really makes much difference, really. I've just continued as I always have. Speaking to a few friends that have gone through this change and they've been getting up really, really, really early,
and they've said it's probably the best thing that you'll ever do. You just feel amazing. You're up early, and by the time everybody else is up and mobile, you've already completed like half your day's work, which is great. So I then saw your video, which talked more around doing something that's positive for yourself. And I think, basically those two things combined, I'm going to give it a go. So tomorrow is the first day of the new way.
Having a bedtime.
So tonight I've got some musical work on my desk. I'm just about to finish a new track off, which I should hopefully finish tonight. And then as I move into Monday, it's going to be a fresh start, and it's going to be the first night of an early night with a early start the next day for a couple of hours studio first thing in the morning. I can't say I'm looking forward to it, because I am a bit of a sleeper and I do get stuck in my ways and I do like routine.
So when I see you offline till midday tomorrow, I'm like, no, I
know. Fail. But yeah, I do love a challenge, and I do love something that gives you a positive impact. So I'm all for it.
And it probably will be hard tomorrow because it's the first time, but routine takes like a month or so to get, well, that creates a new routine, doesn't it? So you can just see, because I mean, everyone's different. Everyone likes different things at different times of the day. Like sometimes I feel more creative in the evening, but sometimes I don't. I just think you've got, what is really important, I think, is to listen to your body. And if like you feel that your ears aren't hearing things quite so well later on, then at that day, maybe you do need to go to bed earlier. Maybe just mix it up, just do what you feel right and go with like the cycle of how your body is feeling, because I think you'd probably agree, Sam, that really listening to your body, like your body actually gives you feedback as well. So sometimes you may feel more creative then, sometimes another time. So I think what works for you will work for you, and like, don't like be hard on yourself though if you think, oh no, I can't do the mornings, because I'm not a morning person.
we basically had this conversation during the day, me and Jordan were like, I was like, God, how am I going to get up earlier? But I mean, for context though, I imagine a late night for you, Dale, is a late night. Like, I imagine you're probably like in the AMs, aren't you, talking?
Oh yes.
Yeah. Whereas like for me, a late night is like 11 a.m.
Yeah. So
you're
I would
probably
say
past midnight, aren't you?
Yeah. So a sort of average to early night would be 12:30 finish in the studio, and then I have to go in, sort the dog out, sort the equipment out, get everything packed away and everything. Not for a long time I haven't done this, but at times it has been 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and that's when you really start to struggle. But that's in some ways that's what I'm trying to avoid. I'm trying to switch, flip the script a little bit, so I don't have the opportunity to stay up so late, because it's very, very eeasy for me to get lost in a computer screen when it comes to creating music. It's a creative thing, and you don't always look at the clock. A lot of the time I'm just zoned in, and I look up at the clock and I think, oh no, I've been here for a number of hours and I've got to be up early.
I don't know about you two as well though. Like I've noticed recently, because I'm definitely not a morning person, but Jordan, me and you have said before, haven't we, loads, that we're more creative and potentially productive in the evenings. But I've noticed that actually I think that's a lie for me. I think I might be a bit more creative or whatever in the evening, but I've noticed I procrastinate more. So as much as I'm feeling creative, I'm not doing anything about it. I'm probably just looking at stuff and planning what I might do and stuff like that. And it probably then is more in the day that I am more productive. So we've spoke loads, haven't we? Like Jordan's been giving me tips on trying to change myself to a bit more of a morning person. I said to her, I was like, I need to wait till Monday though. She was like, why? That's a cop out. Just start now. I was like, no, I can't.
I'm sort of a bit like that though.
I think this was on like a Tuesday that you said this.
It was like Tuesday. I was like, I'm going to start, but I'm going to wait till Monday.
A Monday in 3 weeks. That's when I'm starting.
Yeah, Monday the 2nd
myself up.
January.
I just think it all depends. I just think it all depends. Like today I got up and I just got straight on with some stuff that I needed to do, and I feel like I've been really productive, feel good about it. But another day I might want to have a slow morning just because that's how I feel. So I really do think it's tuning into how you feel and just the energy.
Massively.
But also and this might be a bit old fashioned, but I do think that working till like 3 a.m. in the morning isn't probably going to be like the most beneficial long term, because everyone is different on when they feel the most productive, and you might not be a morning person, you might be a night owl, but you still do need a decent amount of sleep. And the problem is with it being a side hustle for yourself, Dale, you're staying up late, but you've still got commitments that you've got to be up for in the morning.
Yeah, of course.
You're not,
Yes.
some people's sleeping patterns will be like, people do shift work, you know, night shifts, or if they work till late, they will be up, but they'll catch up on their sleep at another time.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that whatever you're taking on, like whatever hobby it be, it's finding that balance, isn't it, of not causing any harm to like yourself, because whether you know it or not, it's gonna have a negative effect. Like if you start to feel really sluggish and tired, you're going to be less likely to want to do it, and it will just turn into a vicious cycle.
Thing is, when you enjoy something, it is sometimes hard to have that balance and switch off. But also, if for some people this is just something you enjoy, then this is your spare time. So just do what feels right for you. But I would definitely recommend everyone having some kind of, at least a hobby or something that interests them. It doesn't even have to be something that you're really side hustling with, or something that you're going really moving forward with. It can be just something that you enjoy that just takes you away from your day-to-day life.
Like scrapbooking.
Like scrapbooking.
But no, that's just the thing at the moment. That's why I feel like I offer like a different perspective in that I don't have like a one thing that I've found, and I might do trying all these things, but I do feel like it always usually does circle around something creative in whatever form. But I do feel like I jump from like hobby to hobby, but not in a sense because I give it up, because I just, like you said, go with what I want to do.
Something new.
What I have passion for. And I think I see something and I'm like, I'd really like to give that a go. And then I do it for a bit, and then I think, I'd like to give that a go.
And you're finding new things that you enjoy.
Yeah, because so many people, I imagine, are listening to this that probably week in, week out see something online or hear a friend do or something, and they probably think to themselves, I'd love to do that. And that's it. That thought goes again, and they don't ever take it forward.
Yeah, and a lot of it can be also because they'll have those limiting beliefs of thinking, oh, I won't be able to do that. And it's like, well, just try it, because you might be able to. And it might be something that you really, really get on well with. It's just sometimes as adults, it's just hard for us to think, even taking a class, like, you know, it can be intimidating, because it's like, oh, well, I don't know if I'm going to be any good, but that's how you learn. That's the whole point. Everything is new. So you're not going to be amazing at it at first. You're going to have to just develop and just kind of, you know, push yourself a little bit to try new things, because you'll really enjoy it if you do.
Probably a lot of people out there that don't even realise they're doing it, and they actually do have that. They don't look at it like that. Like I said earlier, so I don't feel at all like an entrepreneur. That's not what this is about. But it's interesting, because I've always known that I've had these things going on, and I've always known that they're like sort of secondary projects that I've really enjoyed doing. But it wasn't until a little while back that the reason why I call it a side hustle actually is because I saw it was some kind of meme. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was a meme about professional people, successful professional people. What is it that keeps them driven? What is it that keeps them successful? And having the side hustle was one of them. And that's where I've sort of got this terminology from now. But a lot of people probably are doing things and not realising that they're getting that success from it, you know what I mean, or, you know, whatever they get from it, they probably don't even realise it. And if you did realise it, it's questionable whether or not it would actually help you drive you further forward, knowing that it is actually your side hustle and it's something that you focus on. Maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a connection thing there, possibly, I don't know.
Because do you feel like then that your side hustle, like you said, with that you saw online and stuff, like something that credits people that are then successful, do you think that helps keep your drive, like, in like your day job, you know, like it sort of teaches discipline and all sorts of things that then, because I guess you're not solely just working, and if it's not like your drive, you probably then think, oh, I'm just living to work kind of thing.
It's interesting, because I think once you sort of get into the mindset of having goals and having secondary things, that to some degree everything becomes a bit of a side hustle with that sort of mentality. So even like job, which, you know, my job, we work at the same place, that's not my side hustle, but I still look at it in that way. Sometimes if I have a project or something that's going on at work, or if I have a goal, I use that mentality that I use on my side hustles, because it's still really, really important to me. It's still something that, you know, I'm sure I speak for a lot of people when I say I don't absolutely adore my job, I don't hate my job. I like my job. It has its ups and downs, the same as everything else in life. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. But it doesn't mean that I can't learn to, or already have the ability to give it that focus and give it what it deserves, and try really, really hard. You know, overall, like I said earlier, that's the thing that pays the bills. So, you know, overall, it's really, really important. But yeah, I think that side hustle does give me that drive and that encouragement to proceed in things that maybe I wouldn't have done before. I think success, you know, is addictive, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think a lot of
and
people,
like you said right at the beginning, success is completely different for everyone.
yeah, of course it is. Yeah, it's not to say, that recording my first mix was a success to other people, or getting a promotion at work is a success to other people. But I'm sure there are people that can relate to that.
Yeah,
I'm sure there is.
Absolutely. And I think it's good that everyone has a different perception or whatever of success, because otherwise, you know, that's what makes the world go round. We've all got our different things, and you know, that's why we shouldn't compare ourselves when we think from our eyes what success is. We see someone who has achieved that, not to look at it and go, well, they've done this, I can't do it. Like, someone's already done it. It's like there's room for everyone.
Of course, you've got to be really, really careful with that. Actually, this has been a hot topic for me and Sam recently, hasn't it, on the social media side of things? And I think I've always been quite lucky, because that side of things has never really impacted me too much. I've never sort of looked at other people and thought, oh, they're doing so much better than me, or I need to do better, or I need to do more. It's not really the case. I've always sort of taken it in my stride, in my own time. And that's probably why I've been able to keep that dream alive for such a long time, because I'm not reflecting on what other people are doing. I'm just happy with my progress. Yeah. Obviously, I think everyone experiences it somewhere along the line, where you see somebody that you feel maybe you're on par with, or somebody that's as good as you, or you're as good as them, and they take that next step and you think, oh yeah, well, I wish that was me. But it's not to say that that isn't something that you can build on as well. You know, we talked earlier about turning negative into a positive. You know, in some degree, I guess that is turning a negative into a positive, because you feel like you may be not sufficient in what you're doing.
Might give you that extra bit of drive. Yeah,
exactly. That's what I'm
trying to say. If they can achieve it, I can achieve it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you celebrate other people's wins, you could, especially when you feel like you're on the same wavelength as them, or on the same par. If you celebrate their wins, you know you can get to it as well. Because like Sam said, you know, if you see someone else achieving it, that means you can too. It's not impossible. So in a way, it should give you that extra push.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's important. I think it is important. You get it a lot, particularly in the sport world, actually, in Taekwondo, you know, on a very, very small level. Like in club, there's, you know, in our Taekwondo club, we're all really, really close. I get on with everyone. Everyone's really great. But we do fight each other. That's sort of one of the things in Taekwondo. And there is that jostling for position as such. You know, one week somebody else is a better fighter, and everyone that's like this.
Sport, isn't it? There's no way around that. It is competitive.
Yeah, but as a collective, we all use that as a massive positive to us. That's what builds our ability. That's what drives us forward. That's what makes us want more. That's what makes us want to be better.
And that's why there's a phrase, healthy competition. Because if it is healthy, competition like drives you. It's I think there's nothing wrong with that. It's like you said with social media, it's comparison that's the problem. But healthy competition,
yeah.
Forward.
Yeah, I guess if you never had anything to compare to, you'd never really know where you stood. I guess in some way it's.
And the chances are, someone out there's looking at you, thinking, "Oh, they've achieved that. I wish I could."
Yeah, and you'll never know either.
No, you won't.
You'd never know those things.
No.
Because people don't. You know, I don't think I've ever once looked at my inbox and someone's messaged me and gone, "Oh, you know, I really wish I was doing what you're doing. It looks really, really great." You know, it's all an internal
cool
thing.
Guy.
Yeah, I've definitely never had anyone message me that. Me, Brom, obviously.
I'll put your social medias in, then everyone that's listening can just drop you a DM telling you how cool you are.
Yeah, that'll probably turn a positive into a negative because I get too many. I'll tell you another thing that's that I find really, really interesting about the side hustle. I don't want to say that word too much, but one thing that really does interest me, and something that I've seen a lot more in myself recently, is how my view changes on the side hustle or on my projects as I get older. You know, how I view myself and what I'm doing. That's a massive thing on my mind at the moment. You know, the change in the sleeping pattern is one thing that I'm looking at to better myself, because as I get older, I'm thinking, okay, so now I'm looking at making myself healthy, making myself durable. That's what I want to achieve, and I'm making these changes to do so.
So I guess as opposed to just the enjoyment of it, you're now at the stage where you're looking at how it can give back, like the benefits that it can have like in your life, because previously you would have done, you know, and you still do, like you said, you've adapted to be doing lives and things like that, but like actual physical parties, like, you know, I've been to your events, like DJ nights and stuff like that, which would have been late nights and stuff like that, but now I guess it evolves, doesn't it? The same as anyone, like anything you do as you get older, everything evolves, and the chances are that if you fell in love with doing one thing and you got so set in your way of just doing it that way forever, you're probably going to grow out of it because it's not going to mold to you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to you've got to keep focused on the change as well. You know, as I say, as you get older, you know, your thought path changes. I think you become passionate about different things in different ways. You get different focuses. You know, an example of that would be when we started the clothing brand, House Clothing. That was we already had a sort of crowd there for that. And at the time when we started that, there wasn't a lot of planning or a lot of thinking behind it. It was like, great, we've got a crowd, we've got a brand, we've got an image that we want to do, you know, we want to push out. We've got an opportunity to create something, and the focus was networking, driving this brand, making it nice and big, you know, as big as we could, getting the t-shirts out to DJs, producers, record labels, and building our brand as best we could. And it's always hard to see your own success, I think, but I think we've done really, really well on what we was doing on the basis that there wasn't much structure there. So we moved forward like 5-6 years. So it would have been like, I don't know, 26 at the time, possibly 25, 26 when we started that. And I can see across the board, not only with the House It Clothing, but with the record label, with the taekwondo, with the fitness, I'm now thinking, I've taken a step back. What am I actually doing? And what is it that we want to do with those brands? You know, when we started House It, there wasn't really that mindset. It was like, let's just get it going. Let's start it. Let's do something. Let's do it. And we did it. And we did quite well. Now we've taken a step back, looking at the brand. What's important? What is important to a lot of people? You know, what are we doing? Why are we doing it? All that sort of thing. So something that's big on our mind, something we've talked about previously, Sam, sustainability. Yeah. And I think that's huge, and something that I'm passionate about now. So that the House It Clothing is now going through a lot of changes. We're actually amongst the changes as we speak. We've rebranded, we've changed the name, we've changed the concept. Because we were doing a lot of collaborations with record labels, it almost became sort of a throwaway t-shirt brand. It was like a t-shirt brand, right, really, more than a clothing brand.
Yeah.
And that's what we was known for. But not really what I guess our long-term goal was. Our long-term goal was to be more of a household name, really. I guess the same as any other
clothing piece, like item pieces and stuff, as opposed to like a novelty. Not that it was novelty, but like a t-shirt that you would have.
Yeah, exactly. And we toured with the idea. We actually brought another person into our team, which is really, really amazing. Her name's Fiona Burridge. If anyone wants to check her out, I would. She's a lovely lady. I also work with Lee Ratcliffe. He's another great friend of mine. But yeah, that's what changed the game for us, really, looking at the sustainability, what we're doing, why we're doing it, and what do we want to do. So now it's more about looking at sustainable fabrics for pieces of clothing that will last, made ethically, you know, all those sorts of things. So our viewpoint on that has really, really changed. And reflecting on what I said earlier about the change in sleeping pattern and the way I look at my health, that's all because I'm getting older and my perception is changing. But I really like it because I like to feel healthier, and I like to feel that the future is really, really bright. And it may be that the new version of House It, which is called Cord, it may be that it doesn't do so well, but at least we're doing what we want to do. So it could go much better. At this stage, who knows?
What's the saying? There's no point dragging a dead horse or something. It's a bit morbid, but at least you've made the changes because it's what you want to do.
It's like your values change. Definitely your values change, and it's nice though that your values change in a way. Like you just feel like there's more meaning behind everything.
And that's a lot of the message. Sorry, just to say, John, that you promote as like, looking inwards, isn't it, and realizing what your values are and what you really want from life.
Yeah, instead of just doing something to just think, oh, okay, I'll try it.
Might
No,
as well.
I say about trying stuff, but just to do it, just for the sake of it. But when you have more of I feel like when there's more of there's a story behind it, or a mission, or a why, or just you have a value that you will move forward, and you will be like, I'm not going to stop until I actually bring this to fruition and create something with this.
And I guess a lot of people feel like they don't have that ability to do that. It's probably scary.
Yeah,
taking that step. And I guess
a leap.
Yeah, and people like you, Jordan, that you're helping people step out of that realm and move into the unknown, which
and we're called Life at the Deep End. That's what it's about. It's not,
of course.
Gotta take
sometimes
that.
you just gotta roll with the punches and just go for it.
You just never know until you do things. So what's the point in just stopping yourself from experiencing anything? That's just stopping yourself from experiencing life at the end of the day. So
yeah, I think
keep that extra push.
I don't know if you've seen the Squarespace advert recently.
What is it?
It's the Squarespace advert. It's if you believe in something, launch it.
No, I haven't seen it.
Is it? Well, keep an eye open for it. Do you know what Squarespace is? The website design. Yeah. So I just saw that. I thought it was a really, really interesting advert.
What did it say again? Sorry, what did it say?
If you believe in something, launch it. And they're based that around developing your website, and then at the end it's the launch button and your website goes live and all these rockets take off. And I thought as an idea and as a concept, that's exactly. Keep an eye open for it, or maybe search it. But it's only a short advert, but I thought actually that's a really, really, that sort of encapsulates everything that I'm sort of thinking about at the moment. If you believe it, go for it. It's there's nothing to lose, is there? And I know you guys feel the same. And Jordan, you do some great work with people, helping them move into that position of the launch it phase, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I think that kind of sums up really our conversation well, doesn't it?
Yeah,
yeah, I think it does.
We've just stolen Squarespace.
Sorry,
trademark
Squarespace.
it. If you believe it.
No, trademark.
Maybe I'll link them below. That was something kind of.
So Dale, where can people find you if they want to, check out your stuff or whatever, like your Instagram or
what's your address?
Postcode, shoe size. Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. You can pretty much find me anywhere. It's probably easier for you to find me personally, and then obviously there's lots of links to all my pages on my Instagram. It's just at Dale Farnham, so all I'm known is Dale Farnham in the music industry, and lots of other people call me Dale Farnham, D-I-L-L Farnham. Find me there, have a look, see what you think. My personal page is, I'm just having a scroll through now, predominantly sort of music, some holiday pictures, a bit of gym work, all that sort of stuff. But I guess it'll give you a
tag like your other other pages that you've got. Are they tagged throughout your page?
Yeah, well, they're all tagged in the bio section at the top.
Fab, yeah.
So you can just go in and just click them and have a look through on there. There's Yaya Records, Primo, which is the DJing and production side of things. Effect Records, which is another label that I run that's based in Kings Lynn, so very local and very close to me. And we work with some great guys in this area as well. So definitely check them out if you live local. And Chord Life, which I was talking to you earlier about.
And so through like Chord Life and the other pages and stuff like that, like you mentioned Lee and Fiona and stuff, like they're easy to find through those as well, aren't they? Because
absolutely,
like you said, you work with Lee closely and obviously Fiona. So if people are interested in looking at like the whole package and everything that you do, they can. I'll tag your account in this, and then people.
Yeah, I was gonna say, put everything in the show notes anyway. Everything will be in the show notes.
Yeah, but definitely have a look at Lee and Fiona. They're two of the most interesting people and the loveliest people as well. So
amazing.
Well, thank you for taking the evening out to talk to us tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much.
No problem at all. I've really, really enjoyed it.
And hopefully people have taken away from this to feel inspired to do stuff and not deflated. Like don't feel like, oh God, I don't do anything. I'm not doing it. Like use it as a spur on to think, what do I want to do? What is my passion?
Let's use it for positive. And remember, Jordan's here as well. She's that's your calling card, Jordan. So if anyone needs the help,
I was just pointing, but we're not recording.
We're not recording the video.
Just randomly pointing at Jordan. And then before we go, last thing I will say, because I didn't say it in our last podcast, is that linked in it, I'll put mine and Jordan's socials as well, so you can contact us. But if you do want to ping us an email, we've got lifeatthedeepend@gmail.com, so you can reach out to us for whatever reason on that as well. But thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for your time, Dale, and we'll speak to you all next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.